Batman The Dark Knight number 17, written by Greg Hurwitz, art by Ethan Van Sciver. Last issue, we just had a whole thing of Mad Hatter kidnapping people and Batman trying to figure out where is he and what's he doing. So this issue picks up with Mad Hatter at a baseball game, and he's selling a hat to this kid who's just like being a total dick. He's just like, you have funny teeth and you're really short. And Mom's like, I'm sorry, he's an ass. Can we get him a hat? And he sells him a hat, and we see that inside is a mind control chip. And as soon as he gives him the hat and the kid puts it on, the mom's back is turned, and he just like forces the kid to punch himself in the face a few times. And he's just like, it's whatever. So then we cut to Batman on with like a whole circular screen set up around him, and he's trying to sort down where Mad Hatter could be. And they do two jokes in a row here of bata mining with a B. And Batman says, oh, he's disappeared and let us. And Alfred chimes in with down the rabbit hole. To which Batman chastises him for making the joke. And Alfred goes, was it really any worse than bata mining? I'll get to that at the end. So anyway, he's just like, yeah, okay. He made a bunch of donations to a bunch of places. And mind you, as he's explaining this, it intercuts with him explaining it to Jim Gordon as well. So he made donations to a bunch of places that allow him to set up shop in certain places. And he's doing this through shell companies. And then at all of the places where he's donated money to set up shop, someone gets kidnapped. So that's how they're trying to trace him down. And Jim is basically like, okay. One more joke I need to see here. He says, how many corporations does Mad Hatter have? And Batman says, I stopped counting after 10. What's wrong? Ran out of fingers? And the boots are laced tight, says Batman. So at that point, he's just like, all right, look, here's what we're going to do. We're not going to go after him. We're just going to wait until one of his goons show up, and then we're going to follow the goons. Because everyone involved with him is just being mind controlled, and they can easily just, they're not involved. They're innocent people. So at that point, Gordon faces out the window and says oh, we'll put unmarked activity and blah, blah, blah. And then he says, this is the part where I turn around and you're gone, right? And Batman says, nope, I'm still here. And there's two beat panels of them just looking at each other. And then Jim's just like, okay then. And Batman leaves. I don't understand why this book has comedy, but I'll get to it at the end. So we have another audition where Mad Hatter shoots a man and then brings in a woman and says the line, say the line, there you are, sir, can I get you anything else? And she just screams for help, like bloody murder. And at that point, Mad Hatter's like, wait a minute, hold on, say that again, just like that. And she screams again, and he's like, perfect, you're perfect for a role I've got in mind. So then we get a flashback to Mad Hatter's past. And as far as I know, this is real. So there was a beautiful girl named Alice D, I believe. And she was super cute or whatever in high school. And then this bully comes up to Jervis and spits on him and just starts prodding him to do something. Just wants to get a rise out of him. But then another guy shows up and pulls out a wiffle ball bat and hits the bully in the back of the head and says hey, you leave our friend alone. Jervis is our personal buddy. And it turns out he was actually decently popular despite being very much nerdy. And we see his father owned a hat making store, and he goes through the whole thing of oh, we used to have mercury and that made hatters go crazy, and that's what Mad as a Hatter comes from. Anyway, if you like this girl, we can go to that new park that's opening up. Why don't you invite her? So he invites Alice to the park, and she enthusiastically says yes. She very much wants to go with Jervis. So then cut back to modern day. We see Jervis calling out on a megaphone all these things that need to be perfect. He's trying to replicate something, and he's like, oh, that needs to be slanted less. It's at a 45-degree angle. I need it at 30 degrees. And the guy's like, I don't see the difference. And Jervis is like, oh, you don't know the difference between those angles? And he just snaps the guy's neck and tilts it 90 degrees. He's like, do you see it now? So Batman's like, okay, I have a lead on what I think could be Jervis's next place that he's going to steal some from someone. It's a hospital charity picnic that had a donation from one of these shell companies. So I'm going to go do that. And Alfred's like, "Hey, weren't you dating a girl last issue?" And he's like, "Yep, she's gone now though. Completely forget about her." And Alfred's like, "But she was different." And that's that. So at this point, the picnic begins. We see Tweedledee and Tweedledum go out and grab a kid and say, "Hey kid, do you like haunted houses? We got one up on the hill. Why don't you come check it out?" And the kid's like, "Okay, sounds fun." So as they make their way into the house, they shove the kid in and turn around. And then Batman just comes down, grabs the kid, and pulls him back out again. And D and Dumb are like, "Oh my god, was that aliens? Did he just get abducted by aliens? My cousin's dad might have gotten abducted once." And at that point, Batman comes in, starts attacking them, but he purposely lets them get away. And the kid's like, "Oh, this is the best ride ever. Thanks, Batman." So he let them get away because he put a tracker on them, and he's following their van to see where it goes. So then we cut to more flashbacks of Jervis's past, where they arrive at this new park. It's an Alice in Wonderland themed park, and he makes his way through, and we see all the different Alice in Wonderland scenes with him and Alice having fun. And we do specifically see them go to a funnel cake location where the funnel cake guy says, "There you are, sir. Can I get you anything else?" Hint, hint for what's going on. And as they approach the end of the day, he's like, "Oh, Jervis, I wasn't sure if I'd like today, but I'm really glad I said yes." And all the narration is basically Jervis saying, "You ever have a memory that, like, you just want to revisit over and over again and have everything be as it was in that moment because it's just so perfect?" Yeah, I have one of those memories. So at that point, D and Dumb get Mad Hatter and just like, "We got a problem. Batman's here." And we see Batman is up above, and he's like, "Okay, I followed them here, but there is nothing. There is literally nothing here. So I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm going to keep an eye out." And it turns out all of this is taking place inside a abandoned missile silo, which is reinforced concrete that all of Batman's sensors can't penetrate. So at that point, Mad Hatter's like, "Okay, well, Batman, he's gone. He'll keep an eye around this area, but we're staying under the radar. I'm going to be busy. Nobody disturb me, or else I'll skin you." And he goes up to the hatch outside the silo. He takes some hallucinogenic tea, and he sees these memories of Alice in his head, and then these horrifying nightmares that they transform into. And that's the issue. Okay, so this book has been, since its inception, a very dark book, a very grim, a very foreboding experience, I guess. Why do we have so much humor in this? Like, I was caught off guard by like 4 pages, one after another, all of them having jokes. Bata mining, down the rabbit hole, my boots are laced tight, and then Batman just not Batmaning out of a scene. It felt strange in a book that had such grim moments, even just last issue of Jervis Tetch just strangling a man, and it looked horrifying. We got this weird humor beat going on in this one. I don't know. It's a little bit of dissonance. I don't know if it's on purpose or what it is, but it didn't feel right. I had no idea what to expect turning the page. Whether I was going to be horrified or, I wouldn't say amused by the jokes, just more horrified that they're in this book. Anyway, overall, art is fine. Story, I'm intrigued by the Mad Hatter's backstory. I want to see, because obviously everything that happened turned out really well. I want to see what managed to flip him into becoming this, I want to see, we set up the rise, I want to see the fall. So overall, I'm going to give this one I'm giving it a 7. I want it to be known I would have given it a 7.5 if not for those weird jokes that are thrown in, because it just doesn't feel, it's all, you know what it is, it's all on Batman's side. The fact that Mad Hatter isn't doing any of it, it's all Batman making jokes, and that's weird to me. So yeah, 7.